All right, everybody, welcome to Autism. And tonight, the three of us are going to take you on a nice journey through speech and language and the therapies. This is a pretty good one, eh, Aimee?
It sure is. This is something that really helps a lot and actually helps in other areas too. And you'll see why in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. And, Bull, I can't wait to see some of your reactions because this is one of those things that we find really makes a difference with our kids. So, your reactions to, oh, that would have been and that could have been and stuff, I'm looking forward to this. How's it going tonight, buddy?
It's going pretty well. I am looking forward to this. I didn't actually have much of a problem speaking. I might have started a wee bit late, not much, but my big problem was you couldn't get me to shut up.
Problem we know well, right, Aimee? So should we just get right to it? Head on over to the classroom and fire it up?
Yes, please.
Well, here we are in the classroom.
All right. Do you want to lead us off, Aimee?
Sure. We've got speech and language therapies and the benefits that come from it.
All right. This is a good one. Lots of good stuff in here. So follow along and try to keep up. Here we go.
Yes. People with ASD may have major problems with both speech and nonverbal communication. They also may find it very hard to interact socially. For these reasons, speech therapy is a central part of treatment for autism. Speech therapy can address a wide range of communication problems for people with autism.
Nice. I think there's a second block we might as well go to.
Oh, sure. What are the common speech and communication problems with autism? Autism can affect speech, language development, and social communication in many ways.
And this is where we start getting into the ways and whatnot. So this is very, very, very determined by the child or person you're dealing with. Like Bull said there, not a real issue for him, but there might have been some subtleties in the communication that still could have been covered. I know there was for me. That's how it worked. Verbally I was fine, but I was not quite often, but sometimes inappropriate with and confused by and a little lost in the communication.
Right, and it's that social communication thing that's the important part of this. Like speech will come, language development will come, but knowing, like you said, appropriateness. I've said some wildly inappropriate things in my younger days when my parents got divorced to their significant others after the divorce, as an example, and it didn't go over too well. Did not go over well at all.
Yes, I can imagine. So why don't we go through some of the points? Who wants to start us off?
Oh, I
Sure. I can.
Well,
Want to take some?
yeah, I'll take the first one here. Speech problems. A person with autism may not talk at all, utter grunts, cries, shrieks, or throaty, harsh sounds, hum and talk in a musical way, babble with word-like sounds. Okay, that was me. And I might as well continue this. Use foreign-sounding words or robotic-like speech. Parrot or often repeat what another person says, called echolalia. And use the right phrases and sentences, but with unexpressive tones of voice.
This there's a lot in there that really pertain or were very much Felix things and not Felix things. I'll cover a couple here quick. So not talk at all. Felix could totally go into a bubble and just be quiet, but only when focused in on doing a task with that hyper focus, right? The throaty harsh sounds, Felix, and shrieks and stuff, he does that through using crazy voices to be the people he's sort of, scripting and stuff when he's talking and doing his own thing. The babble with the word-like sounds was very much him when he was young, just because it was a little bit hard for him and stuff. And the parroting comes up a lot. But nowadays he learns to say, like, he'll repeat what somebody said and he'll say, that was funny or something. So he's learning to use it right now. And the unexpressive tone of voice will happen a lot if I say, like, what would you like for dinner? And I give him a few different choices. The monotone thing comes out unless I hit on one that he really likes. And then he'll get really excited and say, like, I love that one. And so there's a lot of them in there. Very much. Yes.
And I can see Matt at different levels in some of these, and some things he still does. He was very unexpressive when he was younger. He's a little better now, but I do see the echolalia a lot. And what that's actually called when they're doing the parroting and the echoing, it's called echolating, and he does it a lot. If you've ever listened during a stream, if I'm trying to talk or something and you'll hear him in the background, that's exactly what he's doing. He does that a lot. He shrieked a lot when he was little, but as he learned more words, he got better and doesn't do that anymore. You'll hear every once in a while he might make a strange noise, but nothing out of the ordinary anymore because, well, we went through speech and language therapy. So
Well, what strikes me about this is the babbling. Like the babbling is, I remember some of the babbles I did as a child, and they're the kind of things that you would hear from a baby. It's almost like you learn to talk, but you never learn to let go of the baby talk. So the baby talk that your parents did and everyone did around you, there's a lot of echolalia that goes into that naturally, even for neurotypical children, because that's how they learn to speak, is by imitating the sounds you're making with your voice. So you pick up on that as a child, and then you just never let it go, and you just babble.
Yeah, it's very much that there's so many levels to it, and it changes as they grow up too. Felix's scripting is being used a bit more in communication styles. Like, it was really funny. So Felix likes to do the parrot and repeat. And it's not just what other people say, but it's also what television characters say and stuff. And at first, it was just repeating. And if he could get you to do it too, he felt like you were interacting and it was good. But then it evolved into him using lines to actually communicate. And he was basically being Bumblebee, right, from the Transformers, using the radio to talk. And then that evolved now into him adding his own embellishes to it to make it his own and communicate through. So it's a really neat evolution that's gone through, and I'm hoping that the scripting gets dropped soon. SpongeBob quotes, oh yeah, definitely, and others. Right now it's Monty Python, so that is a little bit odd at times. But there's an evolution to it, and don't consider it being just bad, because if directed, it can be used to attain a positive result. It just takes a few years.
Right, it does.
Should we do the next one?
Yes, please.
Okay. About 1 of 3 people with autism has trouble producing speech sounds to effectively communicate with others. The person's language, if present, is simply too hard to understand. And you'll get that with pronunciation problems and difficulty getting the words in the right order or using the right one at the right time for conveyance. It can take a while to really lock in. Absolutely.
Yes. Definitely.
Well, one of the big things with me was this doesn't necessarily fall in with speech, but since speech ties in so specifically with reading and writing too, like I'm assuming that's got to be part of and parcel. They grow together.
Oh yeah.
Because that's your language, that's all part of the language, and if you have trouble with certain words, like with me, it was those odd words with th, like through, thorough, and though. Oh my gosh, I hated that kind of stuff. It's like, why do we have all these extra letters? Why can't it just be, the way it sounds? And there's two spellings, and oh, what the heck? English is a mess as a language. It really is, people.
Mm-hmm. It definitely is.
Intellectual iconoclasm has a good question there. So what about teaching a second language? Would you advise it, or is it a person specific? And I would definitely say it's a person specific, because some people can just lock in on certain things and it wouldn't be an issue. But I would hesitate in adding confusion until the basics of the main first language are, in the bag, in the pocket, and solid. That would definitely be like, I'm not sure that I'm right, and I would want to consult at least two professionals on that, because, come on, second opinion for sure. But maybe there's strategies that help it be easier for like multilingual families. I'm not really sure. It's a damn good question, though. Good one to bring up.
It is a good question, and Matt loves languages. He wasn't really overly interested in learning new ones, but he was more interested in trying to make me say them.
Well,
yeah. If they are interested, and if they're older, I would say it wouldn't hurt if they want to learn a language, something they're really into. Then as they're older,
right,
it's a little harder when they're younger, but
I could see, here's a potential problem that I could see, and this is just from my anecdotal experience, is knowing when, being able to separate the languages. Like, if you're learning French, as long as you understand that's another language, if you have the capability to separate that, that's fine, right? But if you're teaching two languages in parallel to a child that's learning to speak, period, they're going to start speaking a mishmash at some point, and you're going to have to work on, okay, well, that person's not going to understand you if you tell them that, because they don't know that language, for example. So, like, as a person who is bilingual, the parent teaching them would be able to say, hey, yeah, that's what they're trying to say, but not everybody's going to be able to do that. So it might make it harder on the child initially.
Yes.
Right. So that's why I would wait until they're older and have been able to speak well for a while before introducing another one.
Well, and like we said at the beginning, this is highly individual specific. Like, there's going to be kids that are just prodigies at languages, period, and that's going to be, whether they're autistic or not, they're just going to pick them up like nobody's business and be fine.
Yes. It sounds to me like Super Mommy 76 Advocate has one of those, because her daughter taught herself Mandarin. Just boom, done, next. Wow.
Wow. Mandarin's not an easy one either.
No.
I can only imagine. All right.
Funny.
Should Aimee, you want to take us, because it's the next subgroup there.
Sure. Okay, so we're on communication problems. A person with autism may have one or more of these communication challenges. Trouble with conversational skills, which include eye contact and gestures. Trouble understanding the meaning of words outside the context of where they were learned. Memorization of things heard without knowing what's been said. Reliance on echolalia, which is the repeating of another's words as they are being said, as the main way to communicate, and little understanding of the meaning of words or symbols, and lack of creative language.
For me, the understanding of meanings of words or symbols, and especially symbols, was quite a roadblock at first. And lack of creative language at 13, coming on 14 in about 6 months, let's say, that's still a big one. But I will say that mine is way better in text, like typing out a little report on a tiger than he is just conversing. So there's that. I know it's in there, just got to keep working at getting it out, right?
Exactly. Getting it out is key here. But yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I noticed that too. Sometimes symbols will stop him up, and sometimes new words, he gets frustrated with them. You've heard it here on
Yeah.
when he's reading super chats and stuff like that. He'll get frustrated at those new words, but and the creative language, that it's like falling back on the old standards when when you're talking about, so oh, that's great, instead of changing that up too. That's been one of my struggles too. It
Oh, yeah.
doesn't show as much, but I can pretty much hide some. But I use the same words. Matt relies on echolalia a lot. You'll hear him, and that's how he processes his day and how he processes stuff. How he learns it is just to keep repeating it, and I sometimes hear his school lessons when he comes home. So, yeah.
Oh, one thing
And
I've
there was,
noticed. One thing I noticed with you, Aimee, and there's nothing wrong with this, is that you say thank you a lot. You fall back to being polite, and that's good. I mean, it's definitely good that you're a polite person, but at the same time, it may not convey your actual feelings at the time.
Right.
It's
You're
just
right. And
it's
true. I do
almost
fall back on that.
it's almost like a programmed response, which is fine. Like I said, it's almost preservationist at some point, because you're trying to head off any, I don't know, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but head off any awkwardness in a conversation.
Yes, absolutely. And that's absolutely what it does. It hides a lot of awkwardness, because I'm very socially awkward. I've said it before.
Yeah, and defense strategy.
And I am
Yes,
the same.
it's a strategy.
I am very much the same way. I will either be silent, or I'll be as polite as I can, given the information I have, and like, okay, that's it. Thanks. I'll say thanks even when the person was being rude and awful to me.
Yeah, my crutch that way is I try to put a little bit of a humorous twitch on most of what I say, and that's the obvious crutch I use. There was something I wanted to go back to on the previous one quick. We don't have to. It doesn't matter if it's on the screen. But one of the points was trouble with conversational skills, which include eye contact and gestures. Eye contact issues is if you have a very young, toddler that should be kind of just starting to learn to speak and isn't quite doing it, and you're thinking, is there a little bit of a delay here? If you notice issues with eye contact, that is the flag. Definitely get yourself ready for a pediatrician and whatnot to have an assessment.
Right.
Eye contact was huge with me. Like, if you see me in a lot of pictures when I'm little, I'm not looking at the camera. I'm not looking at anybody. I'm looking at somewhere else. Just somewhere else, not involved with the people.
Right. And there's another one here, trouble understanding the meaning of words outside the context where they were learned. That is very prolific in ASD. It even goes so far as Felix, my son, will have movies that he'll watch with me, but he won't watch them with mom or grandma, and it goes, the other way as well. Grandma will say, oh, he loves this movie. I'll download it for him. Hey, do you want to watch? Nope, grandma's. And they things are compartmentalized. They belong where they belong, and that goes with words and everything as well. So that can be one you got to get a crowbar to get around, but you can usually pry that box open.
especially with polysemous words. Like, if you're you use the word run as an example. I'm running a script. I'm running down the street. The car is running. That could be very confusing. That could be really confusing at first. Like, okay, well, running is just one action that a person does initially, but it doesn't always mean that. So, and it gets stupid confusing when it's a word, it's a meaning that has nothing to do with the first learned meaning. Like if it's totally separate and doesn't even have a similar connotation, like the two and two issue. Which two do you use?
Right. I actually get tripped up on a few of those things in modern life still to this day. It's not that I don't know which one to use. It's when I'm in a rush, there seems to be a disconnect between my muscle memory for typing and my brain wanting to use language properly. But,
Definitely.
what are you going to do? It's close enough. I get the meaning through.
It's close enough. And,
Exactly.
and people are used to seeing the wrong two. So, it happens.
Oh, James, I'm getting the same thing right now. I actually did a screen cap the other day. Sorry, this is off topic, but just really quick. I did a screen cap just the other day that showed that one channel that I like to watch, everything in my recommended feed was severely out of date, but the guy puts out like 3 news-like videos a day. It's an absolute joke. The new algorithm is ruined the recommended feed, and I live in my subscription feed now. It sucks.
It does.
Yeah. But anyway, we should get back. We got a category switch, or next points or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or where are we? Oh, no. Here, we're at the wrap-up.
Right. So because of these challenges, a child with autism must do more than learn how to speak. The child also has to learn how to use language to communicate. This includes knowing how to hold a conversation. It also includes turning into both verbal and nonverbal cues, or tuning into them, from other people, such as facial expressions, tone of voice, and body language. That's a big one. That's a big one right there.
Huge.
And I know just from watching tonight's chat, there's going to be a lot of people that are in the chat right now that instantly will agree that a lot of that goes right over the heads of everybody on the spectrum.
Yeah. Definitely.
It's really hard for me to tell people are joking. Sometimes it's hard for me. And that goes the other way, too. Like, if I'm joking, I may not put the right inflection on it. It might it might just be like, oh, he's being a real jerk. No, it was a joke. But, I try to keep that kind of stuff to a minimum because, I've been accused of flirting when I wasn't trying to flirt with a person. I was just being what I thought was friendly. So
I hear that.
I hear
man,
that
do
too.
I hear that.
Yep, me too. All the time. Yeah, and sarcasm is another thing that, you can't expect me to see it in real life. Don't expect me to get it in print because I won't. And if it's subtle enough, I won't pick up on it as far as as nonverbal cues and tone of voice. I won't pick up on it. I'll have to look you right in the face, and then of course, eye contact.
Yeah. This is just getting worse.
Yeah, this is just getting terrible. I can't deal with this right now. So, so sometimes I do come across as flighty and not that intelligent, but that's because it's just I can't. I'm going through this thing where I can't handle. I'm not picking up the cues. I'm just so confused, and that's my escape. It's I have to get out. So that's what it is, and that's what So a lot of people think I'm not very intelligent at all, but I surprise them sometimes.
Oh, you do indeed. That's why you're on our team.
Thank you.
Yeah, I find my son is very good with facial expressions, tone of voice, body language. You might as well be a scarecrow. He just has no idea.
But that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But we're getting there,
Yeah, exactly. And Matt and I are too. We're working on it. And a lot of the times when he was doing outside speech therapy, I'd be sitting there listening and watching, and the therapist would be looking at me like, "What is she doing?" So, we find humor in some of it too. So,
Be like, I'm getting a 2-for-1. I need this too.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was doing.
Nice. All right. Who wants to take us into the next little section?
Sure. What role does speech therapy play in the treatment of autism? A lot. Speech language pathologists are therapists who specialize in treating language problems and speech disorders. They are a key part of the autism treatment team, and I can definitely vouch for that. With early screening and detection of people at risk, speech therapists often lead the way in helping with the diagnosis of autism and in making referrals to other specialists. Once autism is diagnosed, speech therapists assess the best ways to improve communication and enhance a person's quality of life. Throughout therapy, the speech-language pathologist also works closely with the family, school, and other professionals. If someone with autism is nonverbal or has major trouble with speech, the speech therapist may introduce alternatives to speech.
Yes. And I'd like to bring up a quick little story on the alternatives to speech here before we get to that one last one there, Bull. Sorry, one sec. Okay. Alternatives to speech. I saw a video that blew my mind. It was when my son was about 3 years old, so 10 years ago or something. There was a guy in his late 20s who was nonverbal autistic. He got himself the original iPad, and it had a, type or tap like scrambled eggs, if that's what you're ordering at the restaurant, an app like that. By the end of the first day, he was having full-blown conversations with people.
Wow.
Yeah. Like serious proper, oh, I really like that because of this and that, and like serious proper conversation by the end of the first day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It's scary to think of the poor guy trapped in his own head that long. Just, oh, wow. But yeah, I just had to get that in there, so we should probably get to the next point then. Okay, I'll get out of your way.
That's okay.
It's your point, Dick, so it flows. It's fine.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
speech therapy techniques might include electronic talkers. Oh, see, I should have waited till this one, darn it. Signing or typing, using picture boards with words known as picture text or picture exchange communication systems that start out using pictures instead of words to help a child learn to communicate. And then I know this one in the flow. What you do is you start out with pictures, then you put the words underneath, and then you slowly put take the pictures away, so you're using the words, and then you just try to switch that to vocal. And I know that sounded simple. Trust me, it isn't, but that is the steps usually, right?
Exactly, and that's what we do too. And I still have some around here that we still use every once in a while. And now I can he doesn't need them. Like, for example, he had the picture exchange communication systems is also called PECS, which is easier to say. And we still have a version of it hanging in the bathroom where how he learned to be able to take his own showers and stuff like that, not have me help so much. Now he doesn't even need it. He doesn't even look at it, just hops right in and does his stuff, and that's
Nice.
that, which is really good. It's really a helpful system. We used it a lot.
Nice.
Thank
That's
you.
good. And when you get that result, oh, it's so good, right? All that, working through it, sticking to the plan, drilling it in. Whoa, it worked. Oh, yes. I'm making a cup of tea and I'm putting my feet up. Yeah, scrub yourself. I'm done.
Yeah. Oh, it's just when you hit those what may seem like small milestones to other people are just so huge to us, and it's just like a celebration. It's like, first shower by yourself, yes.
Exactly. I love it. It's so true. Any of those little moments. Oh, yeah. Just, heaven, like, okay, you get them to bed and you go to the fridge. Oh, there is a glass of wine. Oh, this is unbelievable day.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Exactly. Right, Matt? He knows about it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Should we do the second part to this one?
Sure.
Sure.
All right. Oh, now I'm lost. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. Using sounds to which a person is over or under sensitive to expand and compress speech sounds. And so that's okay. Hold on. We'll finish the slide. Improving articulation of speech by massaging or exercising lips or facial muscles. I don't know what was going on there. There was just a brain fart in me. Having individuals sing songs composed to match the rhythm, stress, and flow of sentences. The music one for me was big. Worked awesome. I found that to really get and hold his attention and try to get it in there and get it repeated, I would almost speak melodically a lot.
Yes.
Well, and
that has had an impact too.
As a way of example, how many people learned to speak or learned their ABCs through the alphabet song? That's like everybody I've ever met knows that song, right? And we don't need it as adults to say, you know, D comes in right after C, but try saying the alphabet backwards and you really got to think to do it. You really have to think to do your alphabet backwards. So that's because we didn't learn it that way. We didn't learn a backwards alphabet song. I bet you if there wasn't a backwards alphabet song that was more common, everybody'd be able to do it forwards and backwards.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. And I used to have to sing things to him, and it would catch his attention. It would be more attention catching too. Like if he's in his own bubble and I just start randomly singing to him and it would be like, oh, Mom needs my attention. So, because you could just be talking to him and say, oh, hey, and he just wouldn't notice. But if I did it in a sing-songy way, he would really notice it.
Yeah, and I really find that when you're working on integrating new words or maybe sentence structures or something, really make sure that your pronunciation is good.
Yes, and clear.
Yeah. And if the child is watching you speak, like literally watching your lips, do that singer's trick of overemphasizing your lips' position for consonant and vowel sounds, because then it really brings it through clear.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's why when I do my social stories too, to make a bigger impact, I make them overly expressive so that way he can really see, oh, that's how they feel, you know. Anything like that helps.
Okay.
I think I just goofed with. Sorry, I hit the button again. Darn it. I just noticed. I think I might have goofed with one of the slides, but what can you do now, right? You know.
Right. It's okay.
There's a duplicate. I think I just put in one too many. I don't know.
Yeah, there is a duplicate. Okay, I was like, what? Yeah, because I had just hit next and nothing changed. I'm like, oh, okay.
That's what I just went through as well, too. And yeah, the next slide is really the wrap up on this half of speech and language, because it would have gone, 90 minutes or something if we had put the other half in as well, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but unlike therapies, this is known to be a two-parter only. There won't be. It's not. We don't even know.
Right.
Oh God, that went on for so long.
Yes. Because those therapies, each one of those therapies we mentioned in the past 3 episodes, could have its own episode. Really, could have its own set of episodes. They're rabbit holes. They really are.
Yes.
So. Speaking of the next slide,
Who wants to close this out with the last one?
I'll do it. Some of these techniques are supported by more research than others. Be sure to discuss them thoroughly with the speech-language pathologist and your child's pediatrician. And this is so important because if you mess this up, and I don't want to say mess it up as in you're deliberately sabotaging your child, but it can hinder them in a big way further down the line. So you need to keep, like all these things, you need to keep professionals in the loop and have them help you and make sure they're informed of everything you know as a parent.
Yes. And when you lock in with a certain professional, maybe like a consulting center or whatever they want to call themselves, don't be afraid to just, break out and ask a question here and there to different people that do the same thing, because opinions are good. The other thing would be is when you're discussing these things with one individual who has autism in the family, keep in mind how wide the spectrum is, and that is their experiences only.
Right. Absolutely. Some experiences may be alike, but a lot of the times, like we said, you meet one person with autism, you've met one with autism. Somebody else might present completely differently from someone else, and that is so true. And I've always stood by that idiom about, you meet one, that's it.
Yes. That is very much the truth. So, I think for the first half, we got most of that covered quite well. The second half will be a little bit longer because there's a few points that are going to have to go into a little deeper on each one. So that'll probably run more like a 50-minute episode. But we want to make sure that speech and language is covered properly, because when these things are done properly, this is a massive avenue for goal achievement and life improvement for the person with autism. So, yes,
Yeah.
dive in.
Absolutely. And communication is key, and that's in pretty much all aspects of our life. So having them be able to communicate effectively and clearly is something that's definitely needed.
Yes, absolutely. Any thoughts from the adult side, Boole, and we'll call it done?
I think I wrapped it up. Well, mostly what I wanted to say is get these professionals involved as soon as you even suspect that there's an issue. The sooner that you get speech therapy, if it's needed, underway, the better chance they're going to have in school, in life, in social interactions with other peers and adults and people in general. You want to give them that advantage. You want to give them the advantage of being able to communicate. Like Dick was saying, that person literally didn't communicate their whole life, and they got that one thing that helped them break out of their shell, and they were talking like me. They wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, it was a tear-jerking thing to see. It was unbelievable. And and we, next week we'll have a little bit more detail on this in a few specific areas and stuff. We'll wrap up the subject, and hopefully everybody watching along with us during the series will know how deep it really is. And from all of us to all of you, stay safe, take care of yourselves, enjoy life, and watch out for the little ones. Let's make a good world for them. What do you say, everybody?
Absolutely. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Good night.